Okay, boys and girls, today we had a chance to read 5 books by Lois Ehlert, and one of them being Snowballs, the other Feathers for Lunch. We read Mole's Hill, we read Top Cat, and we read Market Day. And we were talking about all of the techniques that she uses to illustrate her books, and also some of the things that she uses when she writes her words. She has different techniques that she uses. So talk to the person next to you about some of the things you noticed and see if what you talked about is written on my chart, because I took down a few ideas that we had talked about as we read. So with Lois Ehlert, we noticed that she writes books about animals and nature, right? Almost every single book that we read had to do with animals and nature. She uses different textures and objects in her illustrations. Remember, like Top Cat, she just used cut up paper that she had painted. Mole's Hill, she did the same thing. And actually Feathers Lunch, she did the same thing. But with Snowballs and with Market Day, she used actual materials and objects. So this might be something that you could do at home. Maybe you could get a collection of things that you have at home. Maybe cut out some paper and then use food, glue it on, and then create something. Or with like what she did at Market Day, if you have some little knickknacks that you have, like little mini dolls and stuff at home, you could do the same thing. You could create a scene and then take a photograph. She does cut out shapes and makes pictures. Sometimes her books rhyme, not all of them, but sometimes they do. She writes and illustrates her books. The ones that I read to you, she wrote the words and she did the illustrations. And then sometimes she uses photos to make her illustrations. And we noticed that with Market Day, and we noticed that with Snowballs. There were real dolls and real actual pieces of food and knickknacks to make these illustrations, okay? So we've had an opportunity to learn about another author, and you know what's nice about these author studies is even though we haven't read every book that this author wrote, now you really have a good understanding of their technique and their style, so that maybe if you're at the city library or if you're at home and all of a sudden you say, oh, I recognize that author, or I recognize that illustrator, okay? So I hope you enjoyed this additional author study, and I'll be back with more next week.